So in this session, grade 12 students, we will start about the male and the female reproductive system. And this presentation, we will talk about the different parts of the female and male reproductive system. We'll talk about the anatomy of the male and the female reproductive system. So we need males and females. So here we are talking about the sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction, we have primary sexual organs and secondary sexual organs. What are the primary? Primary, they are the organs responsible for the formation of the gametes and the primary sexual hormones, also known as the gonads. And we have the secondary sexual organs. They are also known as accessory organs. They support the functioning of the gonads, the formation of gametes, and maturation, and also the delivery. Male and female reproductive system, we have the male gamete, it's called the sperm cell. Female gamete, it's called the egg cell. And then we will discuss this later. It has another name other than the egg cell. Hormones. And the males, we have the male primary sexual hormones, it's called testosterone. And the female primary sexual hormones, they are called estrogen and progesterone. So here you have to know that primary male sexual hormone is called the testosterone, and the female primary sexual hormones, you have estrogen and progesterone. So two hormones for the female. Here, the structure of the male reproductive system, including different parts. We have here the testis. What is the role of the testis? Testis, and here are the notes, you have to study them. They are the site of the production of the sperm cells, and they are the site of the production of the male gametes. Also, they are the site of the production of the testosterone. So the testes, they are called the male gonads. Each testis is composed of several seminiferous tubules where the sperms will develop. These are the seminiferous tubules where the sperm will develop. Okay, testis, these tubules, seminiferous tubules, they are surrounded by Sertoli cell. What's the role of the Sertoli cell? Sertoli cell, it has the role of the nourishment of the developing cell. They nourish the developing sperms. While we have something called leading cells. Leading cells, they are responsible for the formation and the production of the male primary sexual hormone, which is called testosterone. So you have to know the function of the Sertoli cell. It's the nourishment of the sperm cells, while that of the leading cells is the production of the primary sexual hormone, which is called testosterone. Here, we will move to the tracing the pathway of the sperm cells in the MRS in the male reproductive system. It starts first at the level of the testis. Then we have the scrotum. What is the scrotum? Scrotum is a sac-like structure. It's like a sac. It's responsible for the protection of the testis and obtains optimum temperature, the best temperature for the production of the sperm cells and their development. So first, we have the testis, production of the sperm cells, and the primary sexual hormone, testosterone. And we have the scrotum, where the testes, they are suspended. This is the scrotum. The scrotum is the sac-like structure where the testes are found. And we have the role of the scrotum. It's to protect the testes and to maintain optimum temperature, to keep the temperature optimum, meaning that the best temperature for the production and the development of the sperm cells. Here we have the epididymis. Epididymis, what is the role of the epididymis? Epididymis, after the production of the sperm cells, they move into a duct. This duct is called the epididymis, which is found here in the yellow part. Okay? Epididymis, it's the site of the temporary storage. It's a temporary storage, meaning that it's a temporary one, mu'aqqat. And it's the last stage for the maturation of the sperms, where the sperms, they acquire their motility, they can move. Recent studies, they show that we said the sperm, they can swim. While recent studies, اللي هي فاجأت كل scientists, كل biologists, they don't swim. Sperm cells, they spin. They spin means that they spin, they move in a circle mode, okay? They don't swim. So هيدي كانت the last recent study هي عملوها in 2019 2020. Sperm cells they don't swim. كلنا كنا نعرف إن sperm cells they swim, while the recent study say that sperm cells they spin like spinner. Okay, so the epididymis, the role is the site for the temporary storage and the final maturation of the sperm cells, and also it acquire the motility and they become viable, active at 37 degrees Celsius. So the pathway, it moved from the testis to the epididymis, and we have the vas deferens. Vas deferens has another name. Vas deferens is called spermiduct and vas deferentia. Both of them, or the three names, they code for the vas deferens. Vas deferens, vas deferentia, or spermiduct. Sperm cells, they are collected from the epididymis by the vas deferens. So you have three pathways. First, the testis, they move to the epididymis, which is the temporal storage site, and then they move to the vas deferens. Here we have the seminal vesicle. Seminal vesicle, it's a reservoir. A seminal vesicle is like a reservoir where the sperms are stored. في مخزن where the sperm cells they are stored, waiting for release, waiting for ejaculation. This is the prostate gland. You heard about some people, they have a prostate cancer. So this is the prostate gland. It's found here at the level of the male reproductive system. Along with the prostate gland and something called a Cooper's gland, they produce the seminal fluid with the help of the seminal vesicle. The seminal fluid contains fructose, minerals, fatty acid, vitamins like vitamin E and vitamin A. These nutrients, they are needed to adjust the sperm cell to move inside the female reproductive system. So these are needed for the nourishment, the survival, and the motility of the sperm cells. Especially fructose is a source of energy. So the seminal fluid and the sperm, when you have the seminal fluid and the sperms together, they form what's known by the semen, which is called the fluid that is released from the male reproductive system. It's called in Arabic هو السائل المنوي عند الميل. Okay. So here the pathway we have testis, epididymis, vas deferens, and the seminal vesicle. We have the urethra. Urethra is the urogenital tube. From its name, urogenital. So it's connected to the excretory system where it carries the urine from the urinary bladder. That's why it's urogenital. It's related to the genital system, to the reproductive system, where it carries the seminal fluid outside the body and they are poured in the urethra. So the urethra, it has double role. It's a urogenital tube, meaning that it allows the passage of urine and it allows the passage of the sperm cells. These are connected together. Other than the female reproductive system, we're going to talk about this few minutes later. So here we have testes, epididymis, vas deferens, seminal vesicle, and the urethra. Finally, we have the penis and the urogenital of the penis. The female is the male reproductive system or the male copulatory organ. هو العضو الذكري عند الميل. It's called the male copulatory organ, where the semen السائل المنوي is going to be excreted out through the urogenital opening. And finally, this is what we know about the males. Now is the female terms. خلصنا males, we have to move to the females. Females, this is the female reproductive system. Female reproductive system, most of you know about the ovaries. Ovaries, they are the site of the production of the egg cells, the female gametes. And also they produce the female primary sexual hormones, estrogen and progesterone. So the ovaries, they are called the female gonads. So tracing the pathway of the egg cell in the female reproductive system, FRS, female reproductive system. We have the ovaries, and then after the ovaries, we have the oviduct. Oviduct, the eggs, whenever they are released from the ovaries, they move into oviduct, which is called the fallopian tubes or the uterine tube. Most names used is the fallopian tubes. The egg will wait in the upper third part of the oviduct, will wait here in order to be fertilized by sperm. And then it moves for these whether or not fertilization takes place, it will move toward the uterus. So the pathway we have the ovaries, start of production of the egg cell and the primary sexual hormones, estrogen and progesterone, oviduct, which is the place where the egg cell will be released, and the egg cell will wait there in the fallopian tube in the upper third part here for about 24 to 48 hours. إذا إجا sperm will be fertilized. إذا لا هتكفي طريقة ما بتعمل fertilization. Uterus. All of you know uterus. Uterus هو الرحم عند الميل. تسمعوا في some females عند الفيميل sorry. Some females تسمعوا أنه for example they have سرطان بعنق الرحم. Okay? So the cervix دي بسموها عنق الرحم is called the cervix, and this is the cervix here. Okay? This is the cervix, عنق الرحم. So uterus, it has another name, it's called the womb. If fertilization occurs, if the sperm cell التقى مع egg cell at the upper third part of the fallopian tube, صار عندي fertilization. So the uterus here has the role of the site of the implantation and the development of the embryo. So الامبريو هيكون قاعد ومتمركز وعم بيعمل development work inside the uterus till the end of the gestation period, till the end of the pregnancy period, after 9 months to be delivered. So we have three pathways, three checkpoints in the pathway of the egg cell. First, we have ovaries, oviduct, which is called fallopian tube or the uterine tube, and the uterus, which is called the womb. So, do you think we are easy? Sure not. We are not easy. This is a very complex process and very critical one. So, tracing the pathway of the sperm cell. Keep the put sperm cell inside the female reproductive system. First, it has to enter through the genital opening. Genital opening, it's the opening in the reproductive system of the female. This reproductive one is called the vagina. Genital opening of the vagina of the female reproductive system, which is called in Arabic بسموها المهبل, who is the female reproductive system. Genital opening, fatty sperm cells, first genital opening is the opening of the female reproductive system or the female reproductive organ, which is the vagina. And then it reaches the cervix, اللي هي عنق الرحم, هي the start of the uterus. And then we move to the uterus, to the oviduct, and here we have the pathway will complete. So to keep in mind, we have some notes you have to know. First, in the male reproductive system, the gonad or the testis is present outside the abdominal cavity, while in the female, the ovary is present inside. So this is the first difference. In male reproductive system, the gonad or the testis is present outside the abdominal cavity. They are suspended in a sac-like structure, which is called the scrotum, while in the female, the ovary is present inside the body, abdominal cavity, inside the abdominal cavity. While in the male reproductive system, this is the note that I have already told you before. The male reproductive system, the opening to the outside, what do we call it? It's called the urogenital opening. It's common for the urinary system and to the reproductive system, where the urine and the sperm cells that are released from the same opening. That's why it's called urogenital opening. While in females, we have two openings. We have two distinct and separate openings. And this is a difference between the male and female reproductive system. We have a urethral opening and a genital opening. Urethral is related to the urine, and genital is related to the releasing of the sperms inside this opening to have fertilization. The male reproductive activity. Sometimes you hear that some males, for example, have the age of 60, 70, or even 80, they can have a baby. فين يعمل fertilization for a female. Why? Because the male reproductive activity, it starts from puberty, من البلوغ, and continues till death, لحد ما يموت. But this is a continuous process. It continues, but it may decrease with age, meaning that the activity and the number of sperm cells and the motility of the sperm cells and the type or the quality of the sperm cells will decrease by age. Sure, because the cells, they are aged. While the female reproductive activity, it starts at puberty, which is البلوغ in Arabic, and stops at the menopause. Menopause, إذا تسمعوها in Arabic, is called the سن اليأس. يعني توصل, for example, female at 50, 55, for example, there is a stage is called menopause. Okay, بتوقف عن menopause, meaning that يعني female reproductive activity start from puberty and ends at the menopause, while the male بلش with puberty and end at death, but it may decrease with age for sure. Okay, here at the table comparative between the male and the female reproductive system. The male reproductive system gonad, they are testes outside the abdominal cavity inside the scrotum, while the female, they are found inside the abdominal cavities, which is called the ovaries. Genital duct, they are called the vas deferens or the vas differentia or spermiduct. We have the epididymis, while in the female, we have the oviduct or what we call it by the fallopian tubes, and we have the uterus, which is called the womb. Copulatory organ, يعني العضو التناسلي inside the male is called the penis, هو العضو الذكري, and in the female reproductive system we have the vagina. So this is everything related to the lecture about the female and male reproductive